Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. We will be talking and discussing the Lots Reimagined Redevelopment Initiative. This is a program from the Metropolitan Redevelopment Agency, and my name is Mara. Thank you all. We'll go ahead and get started. So today's agenda will include an introduction to the program itself, just a brief overview, the process, which includes the online application, and then we'll do Q&A with a last slide for final tips and takeaways. So the Lot Reimagined program really aims to activate our underutilized vacant lots that are owned by the Metropolitan Redevelopment Agency. These lots may have come into our possession either through code enforcement liens or properties that we just purchased in order to be able to create a new plan or be able to redevelop in the future. What we've seen though in these lots is in the meantime, while they're waiting for the redevelopment, they end up getting just sat there and vacant. And a lot of times that creates opportunities for dark, unwelcoming spaces. And what we really want to be able to do is actually offer these lots to communities, entrepreneurs, events, festivals, to be able to host community gatherings without a lot of cost to the applicant or the city. So the program basics for this is all of our lots, our majority of them are vacant. Okay, so there's no facilities, there's no infrastructure, there's nothing on these lots. There is a couple of them that may have a small warehouse, but still there is no utilities. The goal with that is for you to be able to host an event. We've seen events where like it could be a farmer's market or like an actual concert or different things like that. The point of it is to be able to provide you a free space to test or host an event without having to take on additional cost. This is also a great opportunity for farmers markets that are looking to get started in new districts or in new neighborhoods, and they just don't know exactly what the total program or the whole like setup is going to be for them to have. So this is a great opportunity for them to try them. These lots will vary and they are different. They are owned by the MRA, so these will not be vacant lots from any other department or that the city specifically owns. These are lots that are MRAs, so that does mean that they will be in the metropolitan redevelopment areas. You will not be able to make any modifications or changes to the lot itself unless you have received specific permission from us. You will have to like request that in advance, but we really don't want you to be taking on any like major infrastructure improvements because there will not be funding or reimbursement for those things. And I did see somebody raise their hand. We will have a Q&A at the end, so please hold all your questions till then, and we will go through them afterwards, okay? So the process is very simple, and it's very similar to all of our other programs. You're going to have an online application. It is competitive, and like I've mentioned before, these vacant lots may vary. So just because you selected a lot and that's the lot that you're requesting and hoping to get, doesn't actually mean you will have access to it. Once we go through your application and like see the lots that you're interested in, we will then like work with you to see if that lot is going to be available and for the time limit and how that will work with you, okay? Once we've decided and selected your application as an award, that's when we'll really get into the negotiation. You can lease it in theory for a one-day event. You could also apply and do this to be a long-term period where we do maybe like a quarter or 6 months, where every month you have like an activity or a thing going on. Really, we just want to be able to activate these lots temporarily. So if you have not been to our Metropolitan Redevelopment Agency website, this is going to be your landing place. I always recommend that everyone get familiar with it and also learn how to look up their own property address. For this program in particular, it really doesn't matter if you are in a metropolitan redevelopment area because the vacant lot will be in a metropolitan redevelopment area. Nonetheless, though, I like showing people where this is at because we do have other programs that you may be able to tap into. And by being able to identify what metropolitan redevelopment area you are in, you can actually apply for those programs. So what you would do is you would actually just place your address in this little taskbar right here. And then once you hit enter, it'll pull up what different address or where the property is at in terms of the MRs. For our vacant lots, there is going to be different places that they may land, and they may not always land in all of the MRs. They may be just a few of them that we have properties in. And as they get redeveloped, new properties may come on and off the list as well. So just things to keep in mind. Once you've decided that you really want to take this on, like I mentioned before, what we're wanting to see with these properties is activation. So that could either be a festival, an event, farmers market, some kind of programming. You can do different types of like workout classes or anything like that. Really, it's going to be dependent on what you as the entrepreneur are looking to do. But we are really just providing you a free lot with absolutely no cost to you so that you can test for those events, like I mentioned before. When you're ready to apply, you'll head over to our Metropolitan Redevelopment Boutique Business Property Grants. And this is where you'll find all of the different grants. But for this one, we're going to click on the Lot Reimagined Redevelopment Grant. And there's going to be a couple of little different items on that page when you do land. There's going to be an overview. There's going to be some frequently asked questions. There's going to be just some short like items of things to remember and to do when you're applying. But all of them are very similar in terms of what items they require. So once we're there, we're going to go ahead and head over to the application process. When you're about to apply, a couple things to note. One of them is it does not save. So if you're in the middle of the application and you like jump off the web page or you decide to come back later to it, it may not save your data and you may have to start over. So please do keep that in mind. I always ask that when you're about to get started, you already have submitted your city modified W-9. And you can find that easily on our webpage. It will also remind you that during the application process, this is a different W-9 than what you regularly have. So it does have to go through the specific, following the specific instructions that we have, and it's the specific city website, okay? So please don't try to upload like your own W-9 or anything like that. That is one of the things that you will need ahead of time, okay? So right now you'll be able to find our available properties list right underneath the Lot Reimagined grant tab. These are the properties that we currently have open. As I mentioned before, as they get redeveloped, lots will be taken off and lots will be added as we also acquire more properties, right? These properties do not have electricity, water, or sewage. Please keep that in mind when you are looking at them for a potential event site host. And so what I would also recommend is I would either take a screenshot or write down these UPCs because you will have an opportunity to input that into the application itself. You may not be guaranteed that site, but it's good enough. It's really good for you to be able to say, hey, this is the lot I'm interested in, because that's the one we're going to try to place you in. Okay. So the first part of the application is super simple. It's just your regular basic information, your name, your address, email, phone number. Please make sure you input an email address that you actually check and are regularly have access to, because we do majority, if not all of our notification through email. So if I send you an email and it's one of those weird email addresses that you never check or like it's locked out or whatever, you will not have or receive any information from us regarding your application. So moving on to the next part, again, like I mentioned before, you're going to be able to input the preferred location that you're wanting. That's going to be your UPC, or you can just simply put in the address of it itself. We also want to learn a little bit about you, like what experience you have in hosting events, what types of events you've hosted, basically trying to make sure that you have the capacity and the skill set to be able to activate one of these lots, right? Because there is a lot of things that they don't have. And so you do need to be qualified and have experience in hosting events or farmers markets or programming of some kind to really make you a great candidate for this. You're going to tell us about your work. What are you trying to do in the lot? So it can be anything like, I want to host Food Truck Fridays at this lot, and that's what we're going to do. So that would be your scope of work. That's what you're going to put in there. It doesn't have to be crazy. Please don't feel like you have to write these extensive like paragraphs or essays. Be very direct and be very um, not, I guess, honest, but be very like real about the dates and the events that you're going to be hosting. I don't want you to be providing us with like extra 7 events because you think having 10 events with those extra 7 is going to like really make your application stand out. And then it turns out that you really just don't have the capacity because of the amount of food trucks, the cost of the permitting, or anything like that. So really make sure that it's something that you can actually put on and that you feel comfortable doing for yourself, because there is no funding. I want to be very clear about that. This program does not provide funding. This is specifically for lot usage. Um, you're going to list the dates, you're going to specify times. So we really want to know like the actual details of the event, right? So if you're going to have a farmer's market every Wednesday, I want to know that it's every Wednesday at 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., like that kind of specific. Okay. I don't need you to get into like all of the fluffy words, or like, this is a harvest farmers market and we really want to have all kinds of activities. No, I just need to know that you're having a farmers market and you're going to be providing activities. Okay. Um, we are going to be asking you questions like, do you have an attendance fee? Do you have a vendor's fee? One of the things that we're hoping to see with this is actually activation of community itself, right? So that is going to include opportunities for people who either cannot afford their vendor fee or cannot afford an attendance ticket. So as you're creating your proposal, please keep in mind that we want to make sure that you incorporate a part that is either free or accessible to the community so that they can actually partake in this. Sorry, guys, my computer keeps freezing. Well, and now it stopped freezing. I apologize. Thank you all for hanging in there with me. We also want to know if you're going to be working with any additional people. You are not required to hire subcontractors or hire staff or anything like that. But if you are going to be using anybody, we do want to know, just so that we can get a better understanding for how the event is going to work and run and be able to happen, right? One of the other things with this too is you can get sponsors. We're just asking if you're going to be getting sponsors, because we know that events can be extremely expensive. We know that there's other additional fees that may be associated with permitting and stuff like that. So we just kind of want to understand where your funding is coming from, if there's anything that might really restrict you from being able to implement the event itself. If you're going to be hiring or contracting entertainment artists, just let us know. These are not things that are going to affect or decrease your opportunity or ability to be awarded for this program. All of this is really just for basic information so that we have a clear understanding of the event and how it's going to take place in the lot. Because at the end of the day, these lots are still owned by MRA, and we will still be responsible for any liabilities or risks that happen there. So from our end, it's really just a preventative measure. You will not be judged or scored on like if you're using sponsors, if you're using volunteers, or if you're hiring staff. We just want to know what you're doing. That's really it. And the very last thing is, and I always remind everyone this one because this one is like something that people a lot of times forget, and it's hitting the captcha and actually submitting. You have to click the I'm not a robot. You have to do the little captcha thing that comes up, and you have to hit submit. You will receive an email letting you know that the application has been received, and then we will begin processing them. Those applications can get processed in a very variety of ways. It can either be based on like your dates, right? So like let's say you really want to use this lot for a one-time Day of the Dead event, and Day of the Dead is literally 2 days from now. So then we'll like score and review your application a lot faster, trying to just make sure that we can abide by those times. Do keep in mind though that processing from our end, unfortunately, we are the government. So it can take up to 45 business days to get everything like reviewed, approved, received your notice of award, and a contract executed. Okay. So I do caution you when you're submitting for like, we want to use the slot for tomorrow. Okay. We really would rather you go ahead and submit 30 to 45 days in advance of you actually putting on the event or the festival series, whatever you're looking at doing. Oh, I'm so sorry. I totally forgot. We do need a budget with a breakdown of cost. And so that budget should be like line item one, hire guitarist, $3,000. Tents for 2 days, $5,000. Trash pickup, $7,000. Like we need a breakdown of like each activity and thing that you will be doing, just to make sure you will upload it. And this is also a really good point to make right now. None of your files can be larger than 1.5 megabytes. It's a very small amount. Okay. I do understand that and I do apologize. Unfortunately, the way the server works is it only allows for small items to be uploaded, and the more items that need to be uploaded, the smaller the like size gets. Technology isn't always my best friend, but it does allow us to have an easier way to upload and access information and be able to connect with you guys a lot faster. And it is easier than mailing in applications with giant packs of like printed pages, right? So just please make sure that you're minimizing the sizes of all of your documents. Each individual tab or each upload section only allows for 1.5, okay? So it's not 1.5 for the entire document, it's 1.5 per upload section. Okay. And so I wanted to go over just some basic Q&A stuff right before I allow or give you guys an opportunity to ask your questions, but I wanted to go over some of the ones that I know would be definitely like big heavy hitters from the beginning, right? Again, the point of this program is to have a ability to activate the lot temporarily before it gets redeveloped. So it can be things like food trucks, it can be things like a Somos festival, it can be a variety of things. We really want to see these lots activated. And personally, I think this is a wonderful opportunity for people who are interested in doing farmers markets in their neighborhoods or are looking to get like fresh produce. And that like continues to come up very regularly with our work and some of the different projects that we do. But truthfully, when you're trying to do a farmers market, the biggest thing is just having a market manager, right? Someone who can actually like get people together and make sure the permits and all of those things are good to go. So this is like a good chance for especially neighborhoods who do not have access to fresh produce to like use this as an opportunity to test try a farmer's market. Um, there are a lot of different nonprofits and organizations that can help you with those things, and we'd be glad to connect you with them. You can purchase the properties. These properties are actually part of our land disposal RFPs, and they regularly go out every quarter. So every quarter, all of these properties are placed on an RFP list, and anyone who is interested in actually purchasing one of these properties can submit a bid for it itself directly during that quarter. We will honor any agreement that we already have, regardless of whether it has been sold in the upcoming quarter or not. Okay, so we do keep those two in mind. The condition of the properties, again, there's no utilities at all. Okay, these are empty, vacant lots. Um, if you choose to make your own improvements, you have to ask us in advance and receive written permission before you can make any modifications. But please do know that we will not reimburse you or pay you for any of these modifications, and you will have to return the lot back to its existing condition when it was given to you. The way it will work is so you'll apply for the program, you will be selected, right? You've been selected. We've gone through the execution, we've negotiated the contract. Right before you get the property, we actually clean the property itself to make sure that it's good. And then I will do a site visit with you of the property where we take pictures and note the literal condition of the property that we are handing to you. right? And then at the end, when it's all said and done, we will basically go back and do a final site visit and basically pull up those pictures and compare that the property is in the exact condition that we leased it to you in the beginning, right? There is no cost for the lease, so it's totally free. You are still required, though, to file any permits, licenses, or any other requirements as needed for events or programming, okay? How do you pay for programming, entertainment, insurance, and management, right? So you are responsible. You can fundraise depending on who your vendors are. You can charge fees for that. You can also um, get donations. You can also just like foot the bill out of your own pocket if that's something that you're interested or that's the way that you're going to be running your proposal, right? So you can do any of those things. It's really more dependent on what your as your association is. So if you're a business or a nonprofit, if you're an individual, really look at the local laws on how that's going to affect your tax code, because there are certain things like you can't get donations if you're not a nonprofit, right? And if you're doing sponsorships, then you have to give them something in exchange for their money. And so figuring out all of those things are totally and completely up to you as the applicant yourself. In terms of how long you can use the property, it's going to be a negotiation. We can negotiate it to be anywhere from 3 to 6 months, with the discussion of a renewal at the end of the 6 months if that property has not been picked up during one of our disposal RFPs. Okay. So with that, I will open it up to questions. Let me see. It can be for either an individual applicant or a group. It is not specific to who the person is or the entity. From our end, you can be either or. You can be an individual, a group, or an organization. You will just have to be able to file a W-9, and depending on your system or your setup, you'll be able to negotiate out how you set up the proposal, right? But this boutique grant in particular is literally to lease a property at no charge. Anyone else? Any other questions? Okay. Okay. So final tips and takeaway. Again, properties aren't improved, completely empty. These are super great opportunities for event activation. Please take that into consideration. You can work with another organization, a group of people, however you guys want to, but this is a really good opportunity for you to test try an event, a farmer's market, programming, anything like that without having to pay for the cost of leasing a space. I know it's about to get a little bit colder, but that doesn't mean that we can't have bonfires and other fun heaters or other items like that to create events, right? But this also is a good opportunity for you to start getting prepared and putting together what your proposal would look like. If you're interested in this, we can start talking and discussing some of these ideas and kind of ironing it out so that when you do apply, you are ready. And so, like I mentioned before, we're the government. A lot of times our things take a really long time to process and go through. So if you get started on it now, by the time the summer or early spring comes around, you'll be definitely ready and we can actually like kick you off in the lot yourself, right? We do not provide any financial assistance. If you, as an entity or an organization, a business, nonprofit, can find and secure additional funding for site improvements, you will still have to come and receive approval before you are able to make any of those. Okay. So do remember that. For the application itself, we are going to be basically scoring on like how good you filled out the entire application. I know that doesn't sound like a big deal, but it really is. Making sure that you filled out your W-9, making sure that you filled out every item as requested, that you uploaded all of your documents and they're below the size limit so that the application actually goes through. We also do request a letter of recommendation in there, and it can be either somebody you've worked with in the past, either hosting an event, doing an event for them, running an event, anything like that, because we want to make sure that we're not setting you up to fail. We're not putting you in a position where you can't host the event yourself. We also want to make sure that this is providing some kind of free service to the community. It can be programming events, it can be anything that is like maybe it's just a decrease in the ticket admission, or maybe that like vendor, because they're a local neighborhood person, then they don't have to pay the fee and you're only charging people outside of the neighborhood, right? You can do anything like that. All of those proposals will totally be allowed. It is really up to you itself. These lots will be redeveloped. So you cannot have this lot forever at no charge. If you are interested in purchasing the lot, you can definitely apply for it through our RFP proposals. Like I said, they go out every quarter and the list is updated at that time. You are required for obtaining all permits and approvals and cleaning and making sure that the property is safe and there's nothing bad on it. If during the time of you being on the property you have any issues and you like need to call the cops or anything like that, please do reach out to us. Let us know immediately. We'll work with you at those times, right? But it will be your responsibility to maintain. I'm seeing a couple of new questions, and then they will change every quarter, right? Because 'Cause they're getting so the list itself goes out for RFP every 3 months, and so every 3 months, in theory, the properties can change. Um, that doesn't mean that it will be every 3 months. It just means that it every 3 months the properties are updated. We can definitely help you provide some of like the information for permitting. Really what I recommend for that is like, let's sit down, let's have a one-on-one conversation, let's talk about your proposal, and then that way we can get you together with like the resources and connections that you'll need to be able to do that. The lots, Sherry, are listed on the website itself. Once you go into Lot Reimagined, they'll be listed there. This webinar is actually recorded and will be uploaded to the website shortly after. So for any of you who felt like it was going too fast or you want to go back and look at anything, you definitely can. Like I said, we'll upload them later. And then if nothing else, please send me an email. I would love to have more conversations or help you out with this program or any of our other programs. That's my email address. If you guys want, please send me an email. I'd be happy to either meet you in person or we can just do a phone call, whatever you feel more comfortable with. Our programs are really made to provide opportunities to small entrepreneurs and developers while also taking into account that we are still the government and have to be very cautious and very, very wise with our taxpayer monies and policies that you guys have entrusted us with. So with that, I'm going to see if there's any last minute questions. Okay, does not seem like that. Okay, thank you all so much for joining us today. Again, this was the webinar for the Lot Reimagined. It will be posted on the website. The website also has printed overviews, pictures of the maps, locations of the lots themselves. Please take a look at them. And when in doubt, give us a holler. Thank you so much. Have a good day.